Good day, everyone. Welcome to FCM Live. My name is Jerry Caingcoy. I am the TFCC founder and president. The Filipino Champions of Canada has been serving the Philippine community since 2015. Our vision is to connect, share, and inspire our community. Over the last couple of years, we have hosted highly successful events that brought our community together. One of our major programs is the Filipino Champions Talk, where we have invited hundreds of people from our community, as well as the Multicultural Society of Canada, to stand on our platform and share their inspiring stories in the hope of connecting, sharing, and inspiring. Tonight, we have another inspiring story to share with you. But before I introduce to you our guest for tonight, I'd like to greet our viewers across Canada from coast to coast to coast. Thanks for joining us tonight. And to our kababayan in the Philippines, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Thanks for tuning in. So tonight, let me introduce to you our guest. Our guest is an architect from the Philippines, where the smiles of people shine even on cloudy days in the storms of life. She immigrated to Canada in 1976, where she met her now late husband at the United Nations International Design Competition for Architects held in Vancouver, Canada. Friends, help me welcome our guest for tonight, Helen Villaraza Ostrowski. Helen, thanks for joining us tonight. Welcome to FCM Live.
Oh, you're very welcome, Jerry. Thank you, Jerry. It's an honor to be interviewed by you. And first of all, I just want to greet our kababayans as well in the Philippines. Magandang umaga
Umaga.
sa inyo lahat. Umaga dyan. And for our kababayans in Canada, good evening. And for all those others of the multicultural audience, good evening as well to you, wherever you are around the world.
Thank you, Tita. We are excited to get to know you up close and personal. So tell us briefly about yourself, because I'm sure you have so many interesting stories and great insights that you would like to share with us tonight. But let's start off with, who is Helen Villaraza before coming to Canada? And tell us about some of the fun facts that we would like to know from you.
Yes, I went to architecture school at UST, and that was back in the 1960s. At that time, well, it was a in general, it was a male dominated course, but there were a good number of us girls at that time, and it was really a very interesting time. And many of those girls have become successful architects. And now, Jerry, what do you want to know about me? That will
I
help if you
Yeah,
can
Tita,
tell me what do you
I
want.
heard. Yes, I heard, Tita, that prior to coming to Canada, you worked with the urban poor in Tondo. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes. So after graduation from UST, I did work with a number of architectural firms in the Philippines, and they were great. Like the and also let me see, and also some construction companies. It was good working for with them, and I learned many things that an architect should know. But at some point, I realized my heart was somewhere else, wanting so much to work closely with the people for whom I was designing their facility. And I started asking around, uh, is there um, a is there a profession for called an architect and a social worker at the same time? Eventually, I started working with as an architect together with with an anthropologist and an engineer, and we were funded by the church. You know, in the Philippines, where all this, the church is so closely connected with the people, and so we were funded by the church, and this was together with a Jesuit priest. We worked. We were working in the Tondo, uh, designing affordable. The aim was to design affordable housing for the urban poor, and so, but at that time, at the beginning, we had to look at our budget. So, what was the need, the pressing need of people, that we could start with the budget that we had. So, ah, we started with designing and building the community clinic, and this was with the people right there from the community. Many of the people living in the community also, the men were very much into the construction trades. They were carpenters, masons, whatever is needed to build a house, a building facility. So that's what we did. And but also what we wanted to do with them is beyond just building facilities. We wanted them to understand the language of the building industry, the designers, the architects, the engineers. So we started organizing what we called, started organizing them into shelter teams, and we taught them the language of the profession. And so we had land use programs where they learned to design their community, because that was the ultimate goal, is to design a housing facility for them.
Thank you, Tita. That was amazing. Those are really great causes and projects that you have done in the Philippines. And I'm sure that it was part of your decision of coming to Canada in 1976 as a young architect. So tell us about the transition from the Philippines to Canada. What prompted you to consider working internationally?
The Canada at that time was booming, like the oil industry was booming, and Calgary, where I eventually went after immigrating to Canada, where I eventually lived to with my husband and also to work, was Calgary. It was like the Texas of Canada, booming. They needed technical people. So they opened up immigration for architects and engineers in the Philippines. And that's how I had this visa, this precious visa. And at that time, I was young. Did I want to leave my beloved Philippines? No, I wasn't interested in leaving the Philippines, where my family, my friends, you know, the relatives, people that loved me and understood me were with me. So that wasn't my purpose, my goal in using it. I went to Canada because I wanted to travel. I was young, I was adventuresome. And there was this international competition for architects that was held at about that time, 1976. And the design problem was to design a housing community for the people I was working with in the Tondo. So I thought, oh, I'll go to Canada and use that visa and go there, attend the conference. And there I was, 1976. And I was in my 20s at that time. And that's how I met my husband there. He
I'm
was,
glad, Tita, that
yeah,
you made that bold decision to come to Canada. So let's talk about how was it like, or what was it like to be a Filipino immigrant in Canada in that year in 1976? Because I
1976.
could imagine there are only about a number of Filipinos, especially here in Calgary. Calgary. Tell us about that experience coming to Canada as a Filipino immigrant in 1976.
Yeah. well, 1976, I think Canada or Calgary anyway had 500,000 people. I don't know how many we have now. I think we're in Calgary. Do we have about
A
uh,
million
a
probably
million
right now,
people?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Filipinos at that time, I believe, if my memory is still sharp, and I think there were 8,000 Filipinos. And how many are we now?
We have 75,000 Filipinos in Calgary alone, and
Oh,
in Alberta, about 165,000. And across Canada, we have now 855,000
whoa.
Filipinos.
Wow. Wow. The Filipinos are everywhere, and their precious contribution. I can say that the contributions of the Filipinos, wherever they are, is just remarkable. And so there I was in Vancouver. And it was because of that conference that I met my now late husband, Jorg Ostrowski. And both of us just uh, developed this rapport because we were young and idealistic, and we had this shared vision of changing the world. And that was, we were not married, but that was our vision, individual vision at that time, to change the world. Now, what is those in their 20s, what does a 20-year-old know about changing the world? But we had that vision, changing it ecologically. We were ecological visionaries.
Tita, I
And
can I can certainly relate to the excitement and to that idealism being a young architect from the Philippines. But also, I'd like to know, as a new immigrant to Canada in 1976, and then as architect, you have such a big vision of changing the world to be ecologically responsive. But tell us some of the highlights of your work experience, because as we all know, when you come to Canada, you cannot just start, you have to start somewhere. What was some of your highlights that you could be proud to say that, you know what, I did everything possible, because some of us may have this designation, we're engineers, we're doctors, nurses, and we've been working in our country or some other countries for many years. But when we come here, we have to have that Canadian experience and we have to start somewhere. Tell us about some of your highlights, Tita.
yes, oh, I have these very interesting experiences. I was in Edmonton this one time. That was before Jorg and I got married. I was still single at that time. I wanted to experience living in community, in a Christian community. That was really burning in my heart. I want to experience living with other Christians in a closely knit community. And we had these two houses in Edmonton. They were heritage homes overlooking the beautiful Gulf Valley in
Wow.
Edmonton. And so the home for the women, and here was the home for the men. And so there I was. But I thought one day, I said, I can't just stay here. Nobody pressured me to look for a job. I was in transition looking for work, but nobody pressured me. But I said, I have to go out today and look for a job. So there I went. I think I must have walked, I don't know how many blocks, or maybe took the bus. And I ended up in this area, and I saw this sign on the glass window, and it said wanted architect. So I went up to the architect's office with my resume in hand, and said, I'd like to apply for this position. And the architect, the partner, interviewed me, and he said, I see that you're new in Canada, and I appreciate you coming to the office. And but you know what? We're looking for somebody that has a Canadian experience. And I said, they call it, a friend said, you were so cheeky. I think smart Alec. And I said, you know what? That's why I'm here. I'm looking for Canadian experience. And he was so polite, and he said, thank you, Helen. And then I had to go, right? So deep in my heart, I knew I'm not going to get this job. Young Helen. No, no, not for young Helen. So I went down the stairs. I wasn't discouraged. Uh, I still had the fire in my heart. Um, Still hot from the Philippines, still warm, it's warm, but it was cool that day, I think it was in the springtime. And so I went down the stairs. I felt I'm not going to get this job, but I looked around and I saw right in front of my eyes, there was another sign on another glass window, and it said, "Wanted waitress." And I said, I'm going there. So I went in, I said, any job, just so I can contribute to this, to this community where I'm living, where the people are great. I'm just going to contribute what I can financially. And so I walked in, applied for the job, and it was a Chinese restaurant. The father was the cook. He didn't speak any English, and David was the manager, the cashier, everything at that time. And he spoke English. And I was hired right there. I was hired right there, and they took me in. I stayed with them for a month, and we got along so well. When it was time for me to leave, because the another job application with the government to work at the Department of Natural Resources called me after a month to start working for them, working with them. And I had to get a Chinese friend to talk to the father and also to David. David understood. He spoke English, but the father was could only speak Chinese, and they were just so brokenhearted because I was leaving. And it because we got along, even if we had this language barrier with the father. And I felt so bad. But Toylene said, Helen is an architect. She has to move on. She loves you, but she has to go. You will find another person. You will find another person. They said, it will not be like Helen. It will
Yeah,
not be like
Tita,
Helen.
what a humbling experience. And thank you for sharing that with us because we all have the same stories, right? And as I said, everyone has a story to tell. And that just shows that as a Filipino immigrant to Canada, we are willing to take anything, right? And be willing to contribute in whatever way we can.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that part of your story. But I'm so excited to know about your passion for changing the world together with your husband. I was reading your love story, sort of your love story. You seem to have found your perfect soulmate, right? You're both architects. You always think about how to make this world a much better place to live in. So tell us about this vision of yours, where you envision birthing and raising children as stewards of God's creation. Tell us more about this.
Yeah. So not too long after we met in Vancouver, we became friends. And we started, before we got married, we became interested in just developing different things to show, alternative architecture. We were working on it, and the friendship, we started being just good friends, and that was the foundation of our marriage. We were good friends, and it developed, and then we found, oh yeah, we love each other. We fell in love, and we got married. And so the the we settled in Calgary, because Calgary was the perfect place for sustainable architecture. It was always sunny, even in the dead of winter. Even when we have this -40, except for some days when it becomes cloudy, but in general, it was always sunny and the sky was always blue. And I said, many times I said, it's as blue as my husband's eyes. And so even today, that my husband is gone, whenever the sky is blue, I look at the sky and said, oh, there you are, my hubby dear.
I can certainly tell your admiration to your husband, and that's really inspiring, Tita. So I've also read about you have taken in a number of uh, children who are not actually your biological children under your tutelage. And tell us more about this EcoHomeOffice that you have built in Calgary.
I have to go back just a little bit. So
Mm,
we envision birthing and raising children to be God's good stewards of God's creation. But
yes.
it wasn't the gift for us. We wanted it so much, but that wasn't the gift for us. Instead, God gave us uh, um, many children in the form of these students. They were university students. As idealistic, probably at that time we were so idealistic. I think our idealism now has been balanced by realistic practicality, practical things. But these were idealistic university students, and they wanted to change the world as well, and ecologically, and they want to learn from us because we had this eco house, the eco house in Calgary. It had we were experimenting, we were building. My husband was teaching at different universities in North America, and he would come home from teaching, and he said, I love the university. I'm an academic, but I'm also hands-on. Whenever he's home, he would go to the trenches. He said, where the construction is, and there he was. We hired people to build our projects with clients, but he was there solving the problems right there and then. The trades would say, I don't understand. We have to build this roof right now, and there's a challenge. What should we do? And my husband would just get on his feet, and there was a solution. He got it. And but it took hours of research, and he loves to research. And I was there with the women too, and we would be building this straw bale. One example was the straw bale. uh, those are the bales of hay of straw that we see in the fields. They were great for construction, and the women could carry them, lift them, and build them, put them together. So that was what it was. And the young people from the university learned the techniques, and the the they did their what do they call it at university when the students come? Their uh, uh, it's at the tip of my tongue, but there is a word for it. They did our practicum with us.
Internship.
Yes, internship, and we had arrangements with the university that they would be credited for the work they do with us.
I was trying to imagine, Tita, about your home, eco home office, and you said in your profile that it is abundant with life, with play, and work, and it was like an open house for everybody. And it's just shows really much of our Filipino hospitality, where we always welcome guests, we always treat people, even strangers, like our family. So, Tita, that's what is being actually, I can actually picture that kind of environment that you had in Calgary during those times.
Yes, and I have to, thank you, Jerry, for calling me Tita. It's such a word of endearment. I have to explain what Tita means. Tita Helen.
Mhm.
In in Filipino, Tita means auntie,
And
and so I'm Auntie Helen to Jerry. When I came to Canada in 1976, I was in my 20s, and Jerry was just maybe
five
he was
years
just a
old.
baby. He was just a baby, I think. So he's really, if I was your, if we had children, you would be one of our children. And
Mm.
yes, I won't take that honor from your real mother. So I am your auntie. I'm your aunt. So Tita Helen is Auntie Helen. That's for
Yeah, I,
me.
I would say, Tita, that even up to this day, when Canada is one of the countries that is not that is really very popular in terms of global education. We are attracting thousands of international students to come to Canada because Canada is one of the leading country in terms of global education. And I think this is something that you and your husband had contributed early in 1976, where you were accepting students from other countries. And during those times, probably it must have been very difficult for these children as well to be away from their families. And now, coming to Canada, living with you, working with you, playing with you, learning, it must have been really a great experience for these international students that you have
Yes.
taken under your wings. Tell us more about this, Tita, because it's very important, this kind of mentorship environment that you have provided to these young and dynamic students. And I'm sure they're not just Filipinos, they're different from different countries, Tita, right?
Yes, they are. They are from different countries. They are also local Canadians or from different provinces and also from different countries. Or they came from different countries. And for those who came from different countries, we would always encourage them. Oh, you're okay. You're speaking so well. You can, yes, you can express yourself. And they would come here. Like our house was, like I said, like Jerry mentioned. Yes, I mentioned it in my
Profile.
written my script. I think it's called a script. I don't know what you call it in your media, but yes, the house was, it was a home for Jorg and myself. It was an office. It was also a playground. It was a research facility. It was a laboratory, all in one, and it was open. We had open house for the public, family and friends, colleagues, the public, the media came, and we would have the media coming at, oh, well, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the morning before they had their morning show, and they would have, we would have to get the house ready, and we would wake up and, to be wide awake at 4 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I don't feel like doing it, but for the sake of the environment, up we go. Yes, and so the young people would work here, and some of them were uh, you know they were foreign students, and they had their dormitories, but sometimes they spent the late into the day. But we said, no, it's time for you to go home because tomorrow you have to go back to school for your lectures. Time to
Uh,
go home.
yes, yeah, Tita, that's really amazing, and thank you for what you have done to this. I'm sure they're very excited. They're very grateful. These students that you have even mentioned that as countless as the stars in heaven. So thank you for doing that. And we're down to our last 5 minutes. I want to ask you two more questions. So I've read also in your bio that at present you are working on a project that is called Pathways to Peace. Tell us more about this.
Pathways to Peace, that came about. I was inspired after my husband passed away in March of 2020, last year. Uh, Now he died of cancer, not COVID. So I'm not COVID. I'm not COVID. But whenever I hear my husband's name, I I keep the tears from flowing down my face. But there, you know, I am just so touched when I hear his name. But you won't see the tears because I have my eyeglasses, and I'm just so happy my voice hasn't broken. But but I keep my tears behind these eyeglasses. It's my shield. And I was inspired. I said, I have to continue what we have been doing together. And before that, we had this big project. And my husband said, this is a big project, 400 years. It will take 400 years for it to go from beginning to end. And maybe it will just keep going, right? We had this project called the Silk Road to Peace Project, from the ancient Silk Road, road from Rome from China to through Central Asia, the Middle East, and then through Rome, and then back again. That's where the camel caravans would travel, and to with their goods, um, silk and jade, and then I think what did they carry from Rome? Maybe it was gold. I think my history. Somebody has to correct me. Well, if my history is not so accurate, but I think in Rome it was silver and gold, something like that. They were trading this, and it was the ancient Silk Road, and the purpose for that was it was those there were caravanserais. These were ancient buildings, which today it will be our say Holiday Inn. You know, they were not the big hotels, but they were stop for the night, like the Holiday Inn, whatever these are, the little hotels and motels, and we were upgrading them. The project was to upgrade these ancient buildings, keep them from falling apart, and restore them to the conservation standards of today. And it will be education facilities to along the Silk Road. But today, especially with the condition today, after my husband died, with this pandemic, I can't continue doing this and traveling to all these different countries. We have so many restrictions at the present moment. So what I did, I said, in memory of my husband, this has to keep going, keep going. So I thought, I'll start in Canada. This is my home, and I'm going to do the project here. But of course, I can't do it physically. There were restrictions as well. So what I did, I'm going to go into the internet and start there. Whatever is possible to make it a reality, to make it tangible. So I went to the internet with the help of so many people. I'm standing on their shoulders. I'm I'm here the way I am today because I'm standing on the shoulders of so many wonderful people from the
Tita,
Philippines.
I hate to interject.
Yes.
We're down to the last minute of our conversation, but I must say that your husband Jorg must be smiling up in heaven for you to do this in memory of his work. And I love what you said that you are dedicating this project to the memory of your beloved husband Jorg, who lived his life building peace along the trails of the earth, our common home on a tiny blue-green planet in the vastness of God's creation. That is so wonderful, Tita. So for your last message, I know we have so many viewers who are watching us right now, or at a certain point in time when they watch this video. What's your message to our young generation?
uh, for the young generation, life is beautiful with all its ups and downs and the curves, the twists and turns of life. Life is wonderful. Life is beautiful. And it is, there's so much in store for the young people, the vision of the future. Do you want to change the world? You're welcome to join me in changing the world. And even today, we can still connect all these different dots that we have been doing all these 45 years. And you can do it. You will have your own calling. You will know where you are being called. But for those who want to change the world ecologically, I'm here. Let me know. Jerry has my contact. You're welcome. But whether you change the world the ecological way or some other way, I just want to tell the Filipinos, I just love all of you. I'm Filipino. I'm Filipino Canadian, and I love my two homes, the Philippines and Canada. Oh, it's been a wonderful life.
Thank you, Tita, for sharing your inspiring story with us. Thank you for trusting me as well to be part of this program. And I'm so amazed at all the things that you have done. And in celebration of the International Women's Day, I salute you, Tita. You are a great inspiration to a lot of women in our community and across the multicultural society of Canada and to our country in the Philippines. Thank you for what you have done and for the inspiration that you have given us and to the young generation. With that, Tita, as the founder of the Filipino Champions of Canada, I would like to say that you are a champion, Tita. Congratulations. And I hope that you will continue to inspire so many people. And thanks for joining us tonight on this show, FCM Live. Once again, I'm your host, Jerry Caingcoy, the Filipino Champions of Canada founder and president, with Helen Villaraza Ostrowski, an ecological visionary. Thank you, Tita, for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Jerry. I just have to thank you too, Jerry. I was inspired also when you were guest at one of my meetings. You were the chosen guest that evening. I was really proud to be Filipino when you spoke. And I am so thankful to you, so proud of you. You're a great facilitator, interviewer, and thank I don't know if I should say the names of the people behind. But anyway, thank you to you, to Eric, and to Abel. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tita. Until next time. Bye bye.